you absolute legends who are joining me this morning. It's Thursday, the 27th of September. Welcome to the Daily Preach. As you can see, I'm in a different setup. Why? Some of you will be asking that. We've been streaming pretty much non-stop. We've had some breaks, but we've been streaming since Mr. Pandaria launches. So in gaming news, Mr. Pandaria is here. Duh! Fucking duh! We all know Mr. Pandaria is here, right? Why are we talking about that? So we had a long-ass live stream. I think it was supposed to be 24 hours. We lasted about 17 until me, Ghost, who was sat right to my right here. We're downstairs in our LAN centre, I'm going to call it. We had a LAN set up in here with me and Ghosty playing non-stop for you guys. And we had a really whale of a time. I am, of course, level 90 now. We capped yesterday, early afternoon. And then we tried to crack on with the daily, which is why this is the first daily ever going to be uploaded to YouTube on the day it actually occurred. Pretty weird for me, I've got to say, and pretty weird for you guys as well. There will be another daily today, live at 5 PM. We will be back on track with everything, and videos are about to start flooding the YouTube channel. So what I want to do is, first of all, prepare you. There's going to be a lot of spam in your inbox. I kind of apologise for that, but kind of not, because you guys are waiting for the guides. But be aware there's going to be a lot of spam. A hell of a lot of spam. I'm just going to fix something very quickly. Bear with me. Ooh. My dog has decided to access my parts. Come here, Ben. Come here. Can we get this? Come on. Come on. Good boy. Good boy. Oh, he's a very good boy, actually, believe me. So, we're going to talk today about the leveling experience and all that good stuff. I will be aware that my monitor, my second monitor has gone off, so I can't actually see the chat at the moment. But I'm not going to fix that now. I'll just deal with it and talk at you and assume you people are there. That's what I would like to do. So, the leveling experience. We want to talk a little bit about how Blizzard keeps taking big jumps and not taking baby steps. It's something I suggest in a lot of my guides is baby steps. Don't try and jump to be an advanced player before you've learned to walk. Don't run before you can walk. Very simple idea. Very, very easy to understand that. We don't want to try and jump to the end before we've learned how to cope with the beginning and the middle. So how did we see that in what Blizzard has decided to do with the leveling? Well, if you join during Cataclysm, this will be your first expansion. Therefore, the leveling experience will seem relatively okay to you. It will be like, this is what it's like to level an expansion. Not so! This is not so. This isn't true. It's not true in the least. They've taken big jumps in how they want to solve the leveling experience. In Wrath of the Lich King, it was very much like it is in Mr. Pandaria. We had to go from 70 to 80. It was a hell of a grind. Most of us did it who needed to no-life it in around about 2 sessions. Some people made it in 1 session, as people do. They tend to be able to stay awake for a very long time, have a couple of power showers, eat a lot of bananas and some energy drinks, and they tend to get through it in 1 session. I did it in 2. It was a very, very long, arduous journey. Slips in the word journey like an absolute boss. In Cataclysm, they changed that. They said, okay, it doesn't matter now. The leveling experience is fine, but let's make it much quicker. We want to get to the end game faster. I actually thought this was a brilliant decision. I prepared myself to level in Cataclysm with all the consumables and all the good things that I would usually expect to do. However, one major problem occurred. It was too fast. Far too fast. You could complete barely a quarter, if not half, of the zones in order to get the levels, and a lot of people did not go back and see the rest of the zones. There was some amazing content. We've talked extensively about Uldum. The end of Deepholm is fantastic. The end of Hyjal is fantastic. In fact, the end of Vashir is fantastic. The end of Twilight Highlands wasn't too great. It was okay. Wasn't amazing by any means. But we certainly got through it too quickly. Then we all complained a bit about the journey. Yes, we did. I was kind of a #1 culprit for this. We complain about the journey. Well, Blizzard took that in the wrong way, slightly, I believe. Took that in a very sort of interestingly weird way. Is they believed that the journey was something that means an extended period of time. I disagree with that entirely. That is not what I believe by a journey. So what they did is they decided to up significantly the amount of time it actually takes you to cap. Now, that's not generally a problem, I guess, until you just are completely unprepared for that. Until you're massively unprepared for that. And I was unprepared for it. In fact, leveling in Mr. Pandaria on the beta was outrageously faster than it was on live. I mean, crazy amounts faster. Really strangely amounts faster. Leveling to 90 has been an arduous journey, especially for those of us who tried to do it relatively quickly. It was not a fast process by any means whatsoever. I've managed to get my second monitor up, which is fantastic. I can see you guys talking now. I can see you guys talking, so you can feel free to chat away. Getting to level 90 is not an easy task for anybody who's trying to do it quickly. It's not an easy task whatsoever. So I was a little bit more unprepared for that. After I leveled on beta to 90, I capped there, and I capped relatively early into the Dread Waste, which is our final zone. This time, however, I had to essentially complete all of the Dread Wastes in order to get level 90. I only had about one quest hub left. We had people in the chat telling us they had completed the Dread Waste and still did not cap. They were shy, which is unheard of. That is crazy. You would never complete Ice Crown or Twilight Highlands without capping your character. That would be absolutely insanity. But that is what we've got in Mr. Pandaria. It's a long-ass leveling process, so you need to be prepared for that. One of the most common questions I'm getting asked is, what is the quickest way to level? Well, it turns out the quickest way to level is by grinding instances. But as I just said, the actual experience needed to level is huge. It's immense. So it's quicker to level in instances if you have a solid, dedicated 5-man group who are capable of completing those dungeons in about 10-15 minutes. If you can keep that up for an almost 8-hour period, maybe even 9 hours, you will be pretty close to cap by then, but you really need to be dedicated to do so. Leveling solo is fine. It's not that much slower, especially now that the servers have calmed down. We obviously expected that the servers would be in horrendous state when it launched. We talked about it extensively. It happens every expansion. It happened with Diablo. It happens with any major online game, is the servers explode at release points. So many people flooding their network to try and get in all at the same time. So that happened. In fact, the first few hours of us leveling was a horrendous experience. Anybody following the live stream will be fully aware of that. Apparently the US did not have as bad a time, but are still having ongoing issues long term, such as queues and all that kind of stuff. Hell, we had queues on our server. That hasn't happened for ages. An age and a half. Leveling solo is what I recommend though. Instancing is faster. However, the new reputation system, this is where you're going to come unstuck. The new reputation system. In Cataclysm, we had this wonderful, brilliant idea of leveling tabards, reputation tabards. If you got your friendly reputation with Hyjal or wherever it was, you got a tabard, and then you could get your reputation through dungeons and by questing, giving you multiple opportunities to do that. However, those granted you specific enchant rewards, such as shoulders if you were to do the Therazane reputation, or head enchants depending on your class and faction. So Blizzard wasn't happy with that. In fact, they overall removed the head enchants. We've seen that already. There's no head enchants now. They said it was uncomfortable and it wasn't nice that people had to level a specific reputation in order to get a reward that was for them. If some of the item rewards that were part of that reputation were useless to that class, then that doesn't feel good. What if your class desperately needed some epic boots? They just weren't dropping in the early raids. Well, they might be from a reputation that actually grants a strength head enchant. But you're a caster, so you need to do Hyjal for your intellect head enchant. That's not fun, because you don't need any of the rewards all the way up to Exalted or Revered. They're useless to you. However, you really want this reputation that comes from, say, the Dragonmaw clan, but you have to do that second. They didn't like that. They felt it was awkward and unwieldy. I disagree. We're now back to a system of dailies to get your reputation. Dailies aren't fun, are they? Dailies just aren't fucking fun. Dailies are never fun under any circumstances. I have never seen a fun daily in my life, especially one that I wanted to repeat on a regular basis. Absolutely not. So what's the new daily system for your reputation? Well, the reputations are spread around. We've got all sorts of reputation guys out there, lots of little factions to play with. And it's now a case of doing dailies with those guys regularly. You can do as many factions as you want at a time. So if you don't like your dailies, you can do one faction a day, maybe 4 or 5 dailies. However, ultimately, you're probably going to want to do them all. So which kind of pigeonholes a lot of people into doing all the dailies every day for a while. That is a much worse grind, in my opinion, than just having the tabards. We're going to want to gear up. Having the tabards and getting some reputation while we're gearing up was a far better solution. And now they've changed the reputation vendors to give only class-specific gear. So if you're a warrior, the reputation vendors are full of tank and DPS gear. It seems great to me. It seems logical. It makes a lot of sense. Now we've got a good system. Why not just have one that gives the head enchant and they also give class-specific rewards? and we still have a tabard for it. That would have been a far better solution than forcing us into doing a lot of dailies, which nobody liked. Nobody liked doing the Hodir dailies for their shoulder enchants during Wrath of the Lich King. Nobody enjoyed that. It was a horrible experience. It just took a long time. Just took a while, and that's not a journey. It's something that's prolonged artificially because it's a daily thing. You can't do any more. That's not fun. It's not fun. You can grind them out very quickly. There are certain drops that each reputation guy is looking for. If you look at the Killac, I believe, the Killac or the Skillex or whatever they're called, I'm not saying Skrillex, they want a document, and they will give you some reputation for each document you find, or bits of fragments, I believe it is. Something along those lines. Some sort of item that you can find from certain mobs that they dislike, and they will give you some reputation towards it. Much similar to the Hodir ice chips. Very similar. I'm not a fan of the new reputation system by any means. I don't think it's clever, but it's okay. We'll have a go. I'm going to do a full video guide on where your reputations are and what you need to do to get them and all that kind of stuff. There's going to be a lot of videos coming out, as I said. It's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. Let's talk about the leveling experience. What's good, what's bad? Well, I've already said that there's a lot of XP needed. I did feel around about level 89, I was kind of wanting a break. That's why we took a break on the live stream. I was like, I can't be arsed leveling anymore. There's only a certain amount of quest variety in World of Warcraft. And artificially extending how much XP you need definitely puts a burden on the leveling fun if you're going really hard. What they seem to be saying is take your time, explore the zones. They've essentially made it so you need to complete the zones anyway in order to get your level. You'd have to be pretty close to finishing every single zone to get your level if you're questing. One of the good things about this is that a couple of the zones are really, really fun. In particular, Kunlai Summit, I believe, is a fantastic zone. I got the achievement for completing that zone. And also Townlong Steps. I had a relatively good time. A lot of variation on yaks. You guys are going to notice lots of yak references. In fact, at some point you get your own yak in Townlong Steps. You get your own yak. Even after the revamp, though, Jade Forest is still terrible. Still the worst zone, I think. Maybe the Dread Waste is slightly worse. It's arguable, but the Dread Waste could be argued as being the worst zone so far. For me, anyway, obviously my opinion. I think the Dread Waste was a terrible, terrible zone. Did not enjoy it whatsoever. I was very, very happy. Obviously, coupled up with the fact that I was nearly level 90, and I kind of just wanted it to be over at that point. There were certain arguments there that Dread Waste just wasn't an enjoyable experience whatsoever. Maybe if I'd left it a few days before going to the Dread Waste, then maybe so. But we don't want to wait a few days. We've waited a hell of a long time for new content. This is the new content. We want to enjoy it. We want to play it. People have booked time off work. So sooner or later, you're going to hit these points. Moving on in the leveling experience, I want to say that overall, I relatively enjoyed my journey to level 90. I played it quite smart. I didn't go turbo fast. I didn't go slow either. I just kept a nice steady pace, continuously questing. I took my time to stop, to disenchant things, to send things to my alts, to fix my gear up and all that kind of stuff. I took breaks all the way through it. I took breaks to play with Ben. We even had around about an 8-hour sleep, which was pretty fun, and we still managed to get there pretty quickly. So it's not a huge, lengthy level 90 journey, but it's pretty big, anybody comparing it to Cataclysm. I did relatively enjoy it. The Jade Forest and the Forest, what's the other one called? You know, the second zone? Valley of the Four Winds, terrible zones. I think those zones are so backwards. They remind me very much of vanilla style questing. Even though we did have the quest hubs, they were just real mindless quests. Only a couple of fun quests thrown in. I really thought they were pretty garbage, those two zones. Kunlai Summit was very refreshing once I hit it. Maybe that is why I felt it was so good after completing two horrible zones. I did get in the position where I was looking for quests in the Valley of the Four Winds. I was certainly at the point where I completed all the quests and I was browsing for new quests, which is a horrible thing to run into at any leveling juncture, is to have no more quests, or to be on one quest that is particularly shit and not being able just to go do something else, which is something we've been able to do all the way through the other expansions. A little bit of ropiness there. I will say that I did find some particular quests of maximum enjoyment, such as the Yak Wash. I think the Yak Wash was a brilliant idea, a car wash with yaks. The whole yak theme that runs through it, I thought was hilarious. I really enjoyed it. We played some good yakety yak music while we were doing those quests, and then ultimately getting your own yak is a fantastic thing. The quest where you run onto the back of a giant ogre and go and destroy some people, we have seen that before, but it's still pretty fun. Running fire barrels down into big packs of mobs, All these kind of quests were really fun. Interspersed with a lot of kill 10, collect 10, that kind of thing going on. A lot of that as standard in World of Warcraft and any MMO, in fact. So they haven't really figured out a good system of leveling. It wasn't as good as Star Wars The Old Republic. Let's put it that way. Star Wars The Old Republic nailed it right on the head. They still had the same type of quests, but intermixing a very solid story that was specific to your character. It was a great way of breaking that up, and you could choose to do 2 different types of questing along the way. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more emphasis on maybe your own character's journey instead of artificially extending it. They changed how much XP you needed to get to level 90 several times. They made it huge, they reduced it, they made it bigger, backwards and forwards until we were left basically with having to complete the zones, which is terrible for people who don't like questing. Let's face facts, not everybody likes questing. Kind of puts us in an awkward situation. So now we're level 90. What happens now? What happens now? Few good changes here, actually. Professions being the main one. I was astonished, absolutely astonished at how easy it is to cap your professions. So anybody who took that advice of getting to your maximum level of profession in Cataclysm, then the squeaky toy, stop, drop. Drop it. Sit. Good boy. Go that way. Getting your capped profession in Cataclysm was a brilliant idea because you cap very, very quickly, Mr. Pandaria. If you even had just the parts that you collected from leveling, you'll cap pretty damn quickly. Brilliant change. Professions have become a huge pain in the ass, and now we're going from 0 to 600 for some people. That is a long ass grind. Right. Sorry, mate. You're not having the squeaky toy until after we are done. Sorry, buddy. You can have the squeaky toy after me. You can have it back, I promise. The profession system is fantastic. I capped my bandaging, first aid, so fucking quickly. Just the cloth I picked up was almost double what I needed to cap my first aid. I capped it extremely easily. Enchanting, pretty much capped just off the greens that I picked up along the way. Don't chew the Dark Knight. That would be a bad idea. We don't want that. This guy, he's a terror. The profession system is fantastic, so cool. I'm really happy that they changed that to a much faster system. You got your squeaky toy back. You make it so hard, buddy. You really do. Alright, come here. Come on. You can squeak it shortly. You can squeak it during the leveling. Go on there. Come on. There you go. Oh. Excuse me. Yeah, the profession system, awesome. For every single spec, it looks like, for every single type of profession, and so much fun stuff. I want to do a little video on engineering for you, because Ghost is an engineer, and he's capped his engineering already, and the fun stuff he's created from there, superb. Really superb. And of course, dual crafting, etc., all stupidly easy. I will say this is one move to making enchants extremely cheap. Enchants are not going to be extortionately expensive like we're used to from Cataclysm. We're going to have very, very cheap enchants over the course of Mr. Pandaria. They're going to be really relatively nice and stable for you guys to buy. Because they're so easy to make and you can cap very easily. It doesn't take someone to push and spend a ton of gold to get to the cap, which is a really good idea in my opinion, instead of having enchants that are relatively easy to make for, say, raiders. Raiders don't have any problem getting hold of, say, Maelstrom crystals, the equivalents here, or anything like that, and then they manage to charge thousands and thousands of gold for the enchants that they're getting for free. There's nothing wrong with making a profit, but making a huge profit because of circumstance is never fun in a game. It's never, never fun. So, that was great. Getting gear. Let's talk about that for very, very briefly. Getting gear. I'm going to be streaming essentially every day now. Up until around about Monday, I'll be doing a sort of split. I'll be streaming for about 6-7 hours through the day and then creating video content in the evening. So I'll still be playing, but I won't be streaming that because I'll be recording and frapsing and all that good stuff and doing all the class guides for you guys. I will say that heroics are far too easy. Far, far too easy. Any of you who are used to checking the VODs on my live stream will go to when I capped level 90. You need an item level of 440 in order to enter heroics, which pretty much meant that I had to get item level 440 before I capped, which turned out to actually be very, very easy. Around 3/4 of the way through level 89, I got item level 440. So the second I capped level 90, I was able to enter the heroics. It was no problem for me at all. I tanked them really easily. I mean, chain pulled massive packs. Using cooldowns, of course, shield walls and so on. But doing so should not be possible in greens. Everybody who watched the stream saw that I literally capped, changed to tank spec, threw on whatever tanking quest rewards I have received. Obviously, we've got the class-specific loot system now when you turn in a quest, which makes it so much easier to get your item levels. And I chain pulled every heroic we went into, just no problem. Every boss died easily. We had no issues whatsoever, which was very different from Cataclysm. And not too different from Wrath of the Lich King, but even Wrath of the Lich King heroics were harder. That worries me. That really worries me. So we're going to see some interesting stuff on that. It's a little bit ropey on how easy the heroics are. They're not going to be long-term content at that level of difficulty by any means. So maybe challenge modes are going to pick it up. Maybe they're promoting people to find friends to go and do that. But again, once we've completed the challenge modes, is that long-term content? I don't know. A little bit of early worries there that heroics and 5-mans are content that can be beaten so easily that are we going to see this content burn out very quickly? Very, very quickly. There's nothing to build to there. As soon as you cap level 90, I was in heroics 10 minutes later and was picking up items. There's quests in every heroic to give you nice solid blues of item level 450. So I had 6 or 7 pieces of tank gear very quickly. So today, as I say, I'm going to be live streaming all day, guys. I wanted to get out a nice daily for you to enjoy. I'm going to be live streaming now, getting gear for all 3 specs, tank, DPS, and then I'm going to get those videos out for you tonight. So you can expect about 6 videos coming out over the next 10 hours or maybe 11 hours or so. 6 guides, the Fury, the Arms Warrior, and the Protection Warrior, and gameplay videos. They're going to be coming out in the next 8 hours or so. And every day I'm hoping to get at least 6 videos out to you guys. I'm going to do a spec a day essentially to try and batter them all over the next couple of weeks. That should get us all nice and done. Alright, ballers, no questions today. I'm going to take questions at 5 PM. I want to hear, the topic for today is, how was your leveling experience? I want to know. Tell me in the YouTube comments and we'll talk about it tonight, okay? Alright, ballers, you have a great day and I will see you in a few hours, in fact.